Welcome back, everyone, to another week of Ralevant. Again from home here. I'm Ender. This guy is Zescht, and I hope you're all bundled up. It's pretty cold. It's getting to that cold time of year. You're bundled up at home. I've got my hoodie on. It's chilly. Are we bundled up and ready for another hour of relevant conversation about Valorant? Zescht, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I was waking up at I think 8:30 today. Directly went for a jog, so I can absolutely confirm how freaking cold it is. It's horrible. It's the worst. But at the end of the day, there's something called home, and in that home, you can make it as hot as possible, and also play Valorant, the best of both worlds. I don't even know people. For a second, I wanted to go with people who don't have home, don't play Valorant, but I think we dodged that. Dodged that bullet right
Right.
from the start.
Zescht, I just don't understand. I thought you were a gamer, and then I hear you're waking up at 8:30 in the morning. Something doesn't line up here.
Okay.
You have to choose one or the other.
No, you don't. I listen to me. The best thing you can do in the world is tell all your friends at 12, guys, I'm heading off, and you also convince them to do that. Then you go do your morning routine. You stretch a little. You go for a jog, and then from like 12 or 1 p.m. on, you go on the grind. That's the human way to do things. That's not playing till 4 a.m. is not healthy. Don't do it.
Okay. Let's play a little game here. I'm
Okay,
gonna tell
yeah,
you over or under. Guess what time I went to sleep last night?
yeah, over.
No. Yeah, you give me a time you think I went to sleep, and then I'll tell you if. Yeah.
Let me. I have to really take a look at your area under your eyes, because it's
Little
very
dark today.
a little
Yeah,
dark today. Yeah, they look a little puffy. I say
I don't see a
six
lot of
thirty.
sun these days. Oh,
6:30.
under, but
Okay.
very close.
Okay. 5:50.
Over.
Wait, I'm over it.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
over.
Four. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Five. Mm, six. Exactly six.
Yeah, 6 o'clock. There you go. Those
Oh,
are
mate.
peak gaming hours. I've been grinding
No.
Valorant deep into the night. I made it up to
Yeah. Okay.
Diamond
Wait.
3 this week. I'm
Okay.
absolutely out of my mind. I'm ready to make that breakthrough into Immortal. I'm feeling good, and it's because I'm playing in peak gamer hours.
No, you don't. Like first of all, I've been playing a good bit of ranked recently. It really messes with my head. Honestly, it's the worst thing. I considered just deinstalling the game recently. I'm not gonna do it, but either way, I fully disagree with you. Kids, go to bed at 12.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. But if anyone wants to stay up late, play some Valorant, you know where to find me. All right, today we got a lot on the docket to get through.
Hmm.
Gonna start off with our news flash. Of course, we do it every week, followed up by some esports updates. Got a whole lot of stuff going on with Spike Nations and all the first strike qualifiers. We're gonna bring in Anderzz, and don't let the name fool you. There's a lot of Z's there, but he's not gonna be putting us to sleep with his analysis on both
Oh,
the
mate.
NA and EU first strike qualifiers. Then we got our Valorant wish list, and a first on the show, a sick show match to close things off for tonight.
That is the. I swear to God, I'm pretty sure I annoyed Tina 2 weeks ago about doing a show match slash King of the Hill format, and I told her, please, Tina, it's going to be great action. It's going to be great games. We can invite the right teams.
Let's get into the patch, right? Patch 1.12. It was not a big patch. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, nothing really changed for the average player. It was mostly just updates to the observer tool.
Yes, first of all, that really big one. I very much like to see that one because it does not only change something crucial, it also makes your player visibility something very nice. If you saw recently, you have a little bit of a black transparent box over every one of your teammates, which tells you what stuff they buy and what's coming in. That's exactly that. I think that's something that is just improving quality of life massively.
Yeah, it makes it easier to see. I mean, especially you can see it in this screenshot here against like the light colored background of Ascent. It would be
Hmm.
really hard to see your allies' purchases
Yeah.
beforehand. But now with the darker background, the box around it, you can see their guns, their abilities, all of that stuff. I still wish that we had more permanent presence on the scoreboard or on the screen actually when you're observing the games and you can see all the loadouts on the sides. But it's a good step forward, I'll say, for Valorant as they slowly try to fix all of their
Right.
issues.
Right, and first of all, second of all, not only this has changed because this is something we would all know. There was a big problem that occurred in the previous 1.11 for observers. Ryan Central made a very crucial tweet about that, and this is very complicated. So if you're watching this right now, I'm going to guide you through this. We're going to actually make you understand what happened. So let's show that one tweet from Mr. Ryan Central where he talks about all the visibility issues that has occurred throughout the previous patch that we had. Simsalabim, abracadabra, and the tweet is coming now. Close enough. Either way, to go back, as it caused a little bit of confusion, but I'm, debating people. As it caused confusions, it was like this. You have a certain color for terrorists and counter-terrorists, for example, in Counter-Strike. So it's yellowish and bluish. But now they have assigned the color on the starting site. So imagine you start as a defender, green, but you take that color in the X-ray to the other side, but on the kill feed, it's a different color again. Instead of making it just simply side dependent, like it always was, it always should be.
So do you feel like it should always be sign dependent? Because for me, one of the things that I think could be a cool feature is if you give the freedom to like actually select the color or the hue of whatever your team is. You could set it so G2 has the black hue or whatever, right? And then FPX has the red one, and then that's permanent throughout the game, no matter what side you go on to. I feel like that would be a really natural way of making it happen.
Agreed. What they unfortunately have done, though, is that the color does not stay permanent with you. Because it stays permanent with you, but on the kill feed it shows something different, and that's just confusing. Because who's then the attacker and the defender if you can't decide it basically by red and green? So yeah, that has been something they thankfully reverted absolutely.
Yeah, that was, of course, a good change. Now, there were some issues, I think, with like ranked act badges getting disabled in game, with performance problems. That's been a constant thing, I think. Riot will like put out a new feature, there's performance problems, and then immediately like shut it off for a little second while they try to fix it. But these are largely expected to, be patched out and fixed in the coming weeks here, probably the next patch to come through.
Not only that, after we talked about this wonderful fix that they just put and also reverted some of the changes of 1.11, they also have added excellent, really phenomenal viewer experience stuff. And that one we're going to take a look at right now is really something that I just love. Starting off with the choosing screen, which is definitely something that has changed the entire level of production. You have now the opportunity, and this is not a custom animation, this has been implemented for observers.
Yeah, this one just looks sick, and it's modeled really closely off of, to me, the League of Legends champ select, where you have like the agent selected on the right side, you have the timer at the top, like pretty standard stuff all around, but with the map in the center, I think it looks pretty clean overall, and definitely a good change coming through for Valorant. I'm a big fan.
Absolutely. That is really a bomb change. Not only that, they gave a good
You're not allowed to
opportunity.
say bomb on Valorant broadcast. No. It's a spike chain.
Sorry,
You don't remember that?
It would be
It was
C4.
like one of the C4? Yeah.
In CS, it's C4.
Okay.
It's not the
Okay.
bomb.
I'll allow it. Yeah. It's
Come on. I mean, who are you talking to? you did sound really good, mate. Either way, what they have done, additional to all of that, they have now given game moderators the option that you can finally change stats and money. What this is so crucial about, you would have an issue sometimes that you can't revert to old statistics when you, for example, have a player crash into a round, just a specific round, and they re-enter. Now they have made that one. We also have a screenshot for that ready, where you see the wonderful changes they have implemented, because this is a tiny things, but before first strike, this is so relevant that you have backups for such situation. You need backups for such situations.
Yeah, because I mean, what's your other alternative? You either have that round exist and potentially destroy the game, you have to restart the entire game. So that, of course, is a very good change coming out for them. And it's nice because I feel like it's so much easier to like have like features like this in your game where you can quickly fix because it's round based, whereas in League they had to spend like 6 years to build a tool that could record every input anyone made in the game and then take half an hour to replay the game up until the point where they had to pause. So it's a much easier change that the nature of the game allows them to put in. And of course, we'll hopefully resolve any issues like that pop up during First Strike.
Yeah, that's really the big advantage. That it's there really round based, sort of. This is a really big point. I think we're finally getting to the situation where we, I think, a good while back talked about observing advantages and how you can improve production quality. They absolutely done that all over the place. And one final thing they've done, which is so cool, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm not quite sure how familiar you are with that in Counter-Strike, but there's obviously when you spectate a game, there's a certain HUD, there's a certain overlay made by the game itself, and there are certain commands for console where you can disable everything. And some developers started to create custom HUDs with more information, different designs, etc., etc. And now they've also created a minimal HUD option, which now allows you to run whatever graphics you have. And maybe once we have open API, for example, that actually tournament organizers can use that to make custom HUDs. There you go.
Yeah, because I remember in Counter-Strike, like Blast has been like pretty innovative in that regard in terms of like making their own HUDs. And I actually saw in the not the First Strike, but in the
Spike Nations?
Spike Nations, that's the one. Yeah, they had like the numbers on the mini map, right? For each player, it was numbered 0 through 9, so you could like more quickly like identify who is who on the map, which seems like a pretty cool idea to come through, because that's one of the hardest things when it's a character-based shooter game. You sometimes have repeat agents on both sides, so it's like, wait, which one is which? What's the corresponding color? The same issues we were talking about earlier. So that, of course, can open up for some really cool innovation from all of our tournament organizers.
Yeah, very, very happy to finally see that one happening. Very, very happy to finally get something like that on the board. It's really been the thing that has been possibly missing, not really for any viewing experience, but it gives us another edge. And I think this is where the really good organizers and the really creative people will come up with some amazing stuff. And, talking about amazing stuff, there has been announced a wonderful brand new skin pack. And I'll be, first of all, honest with you, Ender. This is probably the first skin pack where you'll say, that looks cool. That looks really cool.
It does look pretty cool. Let's check out the trailer.
What we found was a gift. Humanity's last hope. At the edge of darkness, there was light. A power celestial. Yet every strong light invites shadows that loom larger. So now is the time for humanity, for you, to once again wield Ion.
I swear to God.
I'll go ahead and say it now.
Yeah,
Best
go.
skin trailer I've seen from them so far.
Yeah, yes. I honestly hated the glitch pop trailer from start to finish because I
You're
felt
wrong.
it's basically.
Shut up.
No, I'm not. No. Hey. It is basically a skin trailer on crack. It was a skin trailer on freaking crack. It was absolutely over the top. That was horrible.
Yeah, what's not to love about? Okay, I take it back. Glitch Pop was actually better than this.
I saw what you.
This was sick, but Glitch Pop was better. You know what? I'll be honest. Okay, so the trailer absolutely sick, and I like a lot of what's going on in the game or on the skins themselves. But I was really hyped for the Phantom skin to come out, and I think it's a little big for me. I don't know. Like I put it in my hands, and it's just like it looks really chunky. And like I can't really move around quick with it. No, I picked it up and used it off of people because I was wanting to buy it, but then I put it in my hands and I wasn't feeling it. I don't know.
We can actually help the people because we got a video regarding that as well, where people are actually taking the skins in their hands. We can take a look at as we are able to once more find out how good do they actually look in the hands.
No, I'm playing. Oh, we have a conversation about me getting Diamond 3. No, let's just remind everyone.
Hey,
I am Diamond
Can
3.
I get a signature?
I'm very.
Can you
Yeah, I'll
please-
give you a signature.
Please.
Maybe I'll just
Alright.
write it, put it up
Okay,
to the camera,
sign.
something like that.
Thank you. Really
Those are your
appreciate it.
notes?
Yeah, those
Looks
are my
like
notes. What I have
doctor
to do next.
handwriting, super scribbled. You must be a brainiac. All right, well, okay. Quick reviews on all the skins. I think
Yeah.
Deagle is nice, but not as good as
Mhm.
Singularity. I think Phantom too chonky, and it's if you
Okay.
actually look at it before animations, it's much slimmer. But when they open up the middle of it, so you can see the orb or whatever's inside, then it gets fat. I think the Bucky is sweet. Bucky is great. It's a shame I don't use the Bucky because I would get it.
Exactly.
The
It's a
operator,
Bucky.
also very good. Operator sound, mint. I'm all for it. It sounds, I don't know, it's kind of like it's a gooey laser beam. That's how I would describe the sound.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
Okay. I would once more disagree. Yeah, I think exactly the sound is the worst of the weapons. What the best thing I really came into my mind. This is basically Tesla creating weapons. Exactly 100% how it looked. If Tesla would have made weapons, this is exactly how it would have looked like. I think what you said about the Vandal. I think, pardon, the Phantom. The Phantom looks
Phantom,
like
yeah.
this due to the fact that the
glass you were saying, right?
The stock is the stock is made of glass, which makes it look like it has this fin stock from the Spectre, the one you can pop out. But overall, I think it's really the best looking Phantom so far. I'm definitely gonna buy this. It's 17 euros, but whatever. Just the knife looks bad, but I think the Phantom is the only thing to really buy.
Oh, you prefer it over the Singularity? Singularity Phantom is pretty sweet.
I don't think it's that great. I don't think it's that great. No,
all right, we have very different
overrated.
taste. I'm learning. That's what I'm learning.
That's important. That's important.
That's true. That's true. Riot releases new skins every 2 weeks so that they can get everyone to spend millions on their game and to make a lot of money. You know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You know what else it's about? It's about dropping not just sweet looks in game, but it's about giving us the freshest drip possible outside of game. Valorant released some new merch here. We can go ahead and dive into the trailer for that as well. Boom. There it is. Merch, yay or nay? What are we feeling on it?
I mean, it's decent. It's nice. The Valorant without the vowels reminds me a lot of Valentino without the vowels in it. So yeah, it's decent. I think it's for the shirt is $30. Fair. I mean, that's all right. That's okay. When you consider some average brands cost pretty much a double, it's all right. It's okay. I can deal with it.
I think as far as game merch goes, it's like probably one of the better lines that I've seen. But as far as like things I would actually buy, like I think the t-shirts are kind of tacky. Like I don't like just writing Valorant on my shirt and then wearing it's like people put Nike on their shirt because it's like I don't know, you wear it and you're cool. People wear that, you know, whatever. But no one wears The Witcher 3 and are like, wow, I gotta play The Witcher 3. That guy looks so sick, you know? Like, come on. Like, I think the white hoodie is probably the best out of all of them. It got the minimal look pretty down, but the others not really hitting it for me.
Like, imagine you walk in the street, bro. Is that the real Valorant tee you got there? Which drop? Which drop was it? Which store did you buy it in? Ain't happening. I think I have to be very honest with you, right? And I think there's hardly any gaming merch that you can wear in public. Hardly to none.
Yeah, I agree, but I will say, like, Riot has made some good ones before. Like, I actually think their League of Legends Worlds hoodie this year was super sick. It was like pretty much all black. It had a really unique design. Like, it wasn't like blasting League of Legends all over it or anything like that. And that's why I think like the white hoodie is nice like that. I don't love the picture on the front, but you know, it is what it is. We're getting
True.
closer. Eventually, I'm gonna get some sweet merch, and it's gonna be good. But until you put, I don't know, fashionistas in in gaming, we're not gonna get the good stuff from that. I don't
True.
think.
Very much agree. I think the only really good one is the blue one. I think the short Valorant ladder is really put in the right direction. Has a little
Yeah.
bit on top of the hoodie itself. Yeah, it's decent. It's nice, but
Oh,
I generally
honestly,
wouldn't buy it.
I am gonna sell out here. The
Oh
level
no.
merch is legit sick
Yeah,
though.
true,
Because
true, true. Actually
so
true.
it's actually like I usually think like subtlety is the way to go in it. The level merch is not very subtle on the back. Like it's a huge picture on the back, but it's like actual like cool sort of modernish art sort of thing going on. Like if they drew some like jet flying around like that could be sweet, you know? But
Yeah, yeah.
what you gonna
Oh,
do? Riot is or level
oh.
greater than Riot. What?
That's actually you. I think if the whoever did the design for level, if you do Valorant shirts, I'm gonna buy this legit
True.
because I got the white shirt from them, which is amazing. Thank you very much for that. I bought my cousin the toxic one because he wanted it. Um, they are really cool. Check it out. Actually, I'm shop.level.global. That's it.
Sell out. All right,
Ah,
let's move on to
okay.
our next topic, esports updates, and more specifically, the Spike Nations recap. This was a charity tournament put on by Twitch in the last week where we had a bunch of different teams divided up by country, by region. At the end of it all, Portugal came out on top, winning
Mhm.
a whole lot for charity.
Right. I think that's first of all a good cause that they have made that one. Very happy to see that we see such tournaments come alive from time to time. So that's first of all a thing. It really was pretty much seems to be a preparation for Blast for upcoming tournaments, which also helped the cause. Very nice to see Maniac on that as well. I think one of the really most top-notch talents you can see. And what's obviously most important, they had really fun modes. So we're going to show you a trailer of one of their wildcard modes called Chaos. Well,
So this
I mean, I
is
can describe
basically
it.
just madness where you get to pick whatever agent you want and they turn
Mhm.
off all ability and ultimate cooldowns. Like you can have
Yeah.
breach ults permanently concussing, brimstone ults flying around. If you want to be jet and just glide everywhere, that's something you can do. And I think this is a really fun type of mode to play.
Do you see this having a place? Because we will have a wish list later. Do you see this have a place in competitive play in the future? Or not? Sorry,
In
in casual
competitive
play.
play, yeah, in casual play, I actually really like the idea of
Yeah.
certain elements of this. So for example, League of Legends has an Earth mode, which basically makes it so like all of your abilities have like 80% cooldown taken off of them. So in this, like, I think maybe non-stop spamming abilities is a little extreme, but if every ability like became cooldown based,
Yep.
and you only had like a brief window, like a brief cooldown on all of them, and then like a slightly longer one on ultimates, that could be pretty cool.
True, I fully agree. This is going to be absolutely banger, absolutely 100% on point if we have such custom game modes, like for example CNCS. But we'll drop to that later. Quickly talking about, as you mentioned, Portugal won, but the man who was actually the MVP overall till the final is the man called Flight. We also have a clip on that because this man basically turned the entire server into his own sphere. This man has made Apollo 13 look like a joke. You know, I mean, take a look at that. Take a look at take a
Look
look
at
at
the
this.
movement. Oh, like this guy
This is
has
so.
no idea where he went.
This,
Rocket
the
coming out
first
of
one
nowhere.
and the second one he drops. This is so insane. I mean, that was very much enjoyable. He actually played in the first strike qualifier, but got kicked out in round of 128 with his team called Stream Team. But I mean, that has been Spike Nations. Otherwise, the esports world in Europe didn't deliver that much. But NA First Strike is something we're going to talk about very soon with one special man.
True. We're going to be bringing in Anderzz. And before we get to that, I have to say, good raise movement, peak raise movement, best thing to see in Valorant, hands down. I don't think
100%,
anything,
100%.
nothing is cooler. There's no better form of skill expression, I think, in the game in terms of like mechanics you wouldn't see elsewhere. But yeah, we're going to bring in Anderzz to talk about First Strike, both sides. But first, we're going to jump to a quick break before we can bring him onto the show.
Never miss.
I can indeed. Okay.
Never miss.
So who's next?
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome to Anderzz here in particular. Thank you for joining us, coach of Valorant strategy content creator. I've seen some YouTube videos. They're great. Everyone go check him out on Twitter at Anderzz TV. Thanks for joining the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited.
Well,
I'm excited to pick your brain about NA Valorant because a lot of stuff has happened recently in that quarter closed qualifiers, Zescht.
Yeah, one thing before we actually start the entire process for me would be how many gigabytes of Excel files of Valorant do you have by now?
Oh man, it's got to be
Roughly.
well north of 100. I remember someone asked me this question like a week ago, and it was like 80 gigs of just raw data. So it's got to be north of 100 because First Strike, the amount of just inflow from like the CIS First Strike and Turkey and Europe, I mean, it's insane.
If you are, by the way, not familiar who Anderzz is, he's probably the best data analyst and then following up YouTube creator of wonderful data analysis in Valorant. Definitely always worth a watch. But as Ender has said, NA First Strike, or more likely Nerd Street Gamers, had a lot to offer. Before we, dive really deep into it, first question, what was your biggest surprise about this entire NA First Strike tournament we saw?
Renegades.
Okay.
Straight up.
Simple question.
Biggest surprise of all of the tournament was the fact that Renegades went from losing out in groups of their own event to going top 4. That if anyone predicted that before this event, congratulations, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, because they beat Cloud9 2-0, right, and then even took a game off of Envy, so that was certainly a surprise. And I felt like, to me at least, like seeing C9 like not actually make it to the top 4 was a big surprise personally. TSM dropped against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves got a little bit of revenge right there, and it went all the way up until the grand final where Envy made really quick work of 100 Thieves. And this grand final is a weird one because it doesn't really mean much. Like both those teams had already qualified, but were you able to pull anything like meaningful out of that matchup still?
Yes and no. I mean, I think so. I actually coach a team in North America called Last Round Save, and we were playing in this qualifier, and we actually pulled 100 Thieves second round. We lost to them pretty succinctly, but it gave me a lot of insight into the way that they were playing. And honestly, all of the issues that I saw with 100 Thieves' play when we were playing against them is exactly what Envy exploited. I feel like 100 Thieves throughout the entire tournament were putting on clinics on how to properly default. I feel like one of the things that a lot of teams right now are falling into, whether by intention or not, is that they'll have sort of a playbook of set strategies, but a lot of them lack very concrete defaults and mid-round adaptation, and 100 Thieves is the exact opposite of that. But because of their leaning on that, if you do manage to pick off part of their default, their ability to adapt to that is very poor. And so Envy is phenomenal at prodding for space, breaking down a default, and just shattering anyone's ability to recover. And that's why I think they were able to run away with it to the extent that they could.
That's a very, very interesting one, because if I remember correctly, Ender, when we had the conversation with player one, it was very much about him saying that defaults are a thing that work quite well, but set pieces are more seen, for example, at a team with FPX. I could be horribly wrong, but if I remember correctly, that is even what he said. So interesting point in that. And I really surprised in many things. We started off with Cloud9, 100 Thieves kicking off things well. What really broke my heart, sort of, was Gen G missing out on the quarterfinals in Group B, because they were absolutely shut down by complexity with 5-13 on Haven there, which being a map complexity actually does not really like to play, why Gen G are heavily favoring that. What do you take off of that one?
Honestly, I think that going back to like Renegades being my biggest surprise of this tournament, I think Complexity was my number 2. Both of those two teams, Renegades and Complexity, have really been struggling on a chronic level. They haven't made it out of group stages. They've struggled to make top 8s, let alone top 4s or whatever. And Complexity not only came out of the gates in this tournament stronger than we've ever seen them, but I genuinely think if they hadn't run into Envy in the quarters, they were an easy top 4 here. I think that Complexity, based off of what we saw in this tournament, is giving a major check to the teams that are underestimating them.
And with teams like Complexity and Renegades really surprising you, does that make in your head, like going in to actual First Strike itself, do you feel like the playing field in North America feels very open at the moment, or is it still dominated by one or two teams like we've seen in the past few months?
I think so. It's an interesting dynamic, because when I look at EU, I see G2 as like the clear juggernaut. I don't think anyone would contest that. And then you have like a pretty solid 3-4 bracket, and then it's just complete and utter chaos. Like as soon as you drop below that top 4, it's anyone could beat anyone, all bets are off sort of situation. And I think NA is finally starting to par that, where you have like a fairly established top 4, but then below top 4, complete mayhem. I think anyone can beat anyone on any day, including a lot of tier 2 teams. This is something that may or may not be a fairly hot take, but I would say if you take the top 8 teams in tier 2, they're all capable of beating tier 1 teams right now. 100%.
Okay. The thing is, you talk about a top 4 in Europe, right? But you're cheeky enough to not talk about it immediately. So tell me, what are your top 4? What are your direct top 4 for Europe at the moment?
I would say you have G2 at the top, obviously. You have FPX. You have NIP, and then this is gonna get me into trouble. But I think it is a dead heat between Summon FC and TL for the last slot there.
Where's Guild? Where's Guild in this?
See, I think people are sleeping on Summon FC so much right now that it's borderline toxic.
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but yeah, this is a very good point. I think it was also Yinzu really highlighted them recently. But EU, and you don't put Guild in there.
So
okay.
Can I go on a little bit of a tear right now? A little bit of a rant about Guild? So here's Guild's trajectory. I'm gonna piss so many people off, but we're sending it.
Oh no.
So this is Guild's trajectory. As Bonk, they have their coach, Sala, doing phenomenally, solidify themselves as a top 3 team in Europe. They then bring on another coach and start to flounder a little bit. They then kick Sala, so they have only the new coach, continue to flounder a little bit more. That new coach leaves with arguably their best player, and now they are a team that looks like they completely lack direction. If you look at how they performed in the first EU First Strike qualifier, they have Yassine on Breach. Who thinks that's a good idea? Straight up, who thinks that's a good idea? That doesn't make any sense. It speaks to a complete lack of understanding of your players' dynamics, and they lost because of it. And they deserve to. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They deserve to lose that based off of that compositional decision.
Yeah, I mean that's like surprising too, because I mean, I think a lot of people are nervous about some of the investments Guild have made and stuff like that. But like, as soon as like all this money's injected, like it feels like to me the first thing you do is develop the support structure, right? Like you
Where's
get the team,
structure?
you have
There's
money,
none.
support structure go, and if it's not making any sense, like that's a huge failing right off the bat that will take a long time to end up fixing. No.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Wild.
Simple. Wild. Well, I think one thing we really need to talk about, because I really want to go into EU First Strike a little more, but it's something that has really boggled me or has really catched my interest, because I'm watching, I think, every single video of yours, because I very much enjoy the statistical point of view. You know, I think if, as you are in research, there's quantitative and qualitative research, and you do a lot of quantitative research, obviously, but you also very often do takes. I think 2 or 3 months ago, or I think even in beta, you said Brimstone is not going to be a thing anymore. Omen's gonna chime in. I very much consider that. Your biggest take was that now I think Ender is going to really laugh. Viper is going to be a thing once in a while. I think you said it in every single video by now.
Man. So
that didn't happen.
But it did happen. Here's the thing. So if we look at Viper pre-First Strike to Viper currently in First Strike, and I think this was actually catalyzed by the NSGX Renegades tournament in North America, where Anbox decided they were going to start playing Viper and just broke Split by playing it. Viper went from around floating between a 0% pick rate and 4% pick rate from one tournament to the next, to an almost 10% pick rate. And if you look at her win rate in First Strikes across the entire world, she's currently the highest win rate non-mirror agent in the entire game at almost 54%. Straight up, she's seen a 6% spike in play rate, and she is the best agent quantitatively in the whole game right now. Period. Statistical fact.
I love it. Okay, so because it's interesting, because we had Player One on the show 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he was saying basically like Viper can be a thing. It just takes a lot of time to get good at, and your team has to understand how it works, right? So it makes sense on paper that she would take the longest to catch on, but like, are there specific things in her kit that you think make her like quite good, and like people that sleep on it should wake up to the fact?
Viper on every single map. My team literally plays Viper on every single map. So,
and every single
I will
map?
agree with every single map. Every single map. just let it happen. It's fine. I think you are 100% right with what you were saying, which is the amount of back-end infrastructure and analysis that you need to make Viper like a plausible agent is way too high right now for teams to be able to use it effectively. Because if we look at Viper as an agent right now, the way most people see her is, all right, she's a map slicer, and we're going to use her ultimate to cut a site off from the rest of the map, hit that site. Awesome, fantastic. Then you have sort of the next evolution of that, which we've started seeing out of some teams in particularly Southeast Asia. I know that Cloud9 Korea has been ripping it out, and they not only have those exec walls where they're slicing a part of the map off, but they also are using it as a retake tool. They're cutting the site in half as they retake and sort of pincering the post plant. And there's a further evolution from that. And I think this is where Viper really goes from being like a decent agent to completely game breaking, is if you use early round walls that slice the map, the entire map on a fundamental level, like you slice mid control off, you slice CT rotates, and you just play around that wall for mid-round information. I mean, this goes back to the way 100 Thieves is playing, where they're great at defaulting, they're great at taking information and creeping forward and poking and prodding and looking for holes in their opponent's defenses. Viper enables that to a level that no other agent in the game can even remotely compare to. Like, you can smoke off mid and try to take mid, but in 14 seconds, you've lost that mid control. You can do that with Viper, and then the next time her walls charges up, you can do it again. And then the next time her wall is up, you can do it again. The amount of doubt that you are placing in your opponent's minds is absolutely insane.
So when's the video coming out?
Interesting.
Dude, honestly,
don't leak the strats. Don't leak the strats.
I want to hear it.
We're playing again on Friday. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
we lost to XSET yesterday in an 11-12 map 2 that came down to a 1v1 clutch. It was utterly heartbreaking. We will be back Friday. Just
Okay.
I love it.
I'm excited.
I really much love it.
I'm excited to watch it because everyone has been like down on Viper, but I'm very much of the opinion that like all the agents have always been playable at the very least. Like if you actually look at like the variance between them, like very small, very small. But to me, the most interesting part of it is not like the start of round or pre-round walls, anything like that. But it's the mid-round ability, like you're sort of talking, like if you're putting down a late wall for retake, because if you just think about like the amount of games that people have played on Viper, it's very easy to immediately learn, oh, what is the best pre-round walls to place, right? Like anyone can go pick that up like pretty fast, but being able to adapt on the fly, that's where people won't have a lot of time. So if, you know, the read on Viper from like you guys is right or something, right? And Viper ends up being like very, very good, I feel like that's the type of agent that a lot of teams would end up lagging behind the curve on because they're late to adopt it, and they wouldn't be instantly able to turn around and pick it up as easy as say an Omen, where the smokes are probably the same spots as Brimstone, or you know, it's like much more obvious to figure out and much more clear like that.
I will put it this way: even the best teams with Viper in the world right now only use their first Viper wall. No one is having conversations about how do we play around our second Viper wall or our third Viper wall. That it is a static sort of preliminary stage analysis of what you can do with that agent's abilities. Why don't you have a set play around all 3 of your Viper walls per round? If you do, the enemy is screwed, period.
I couldn't stop talking about it, very honestly. But we have to go
about this for hours.
I know. We needed a special episode for that. But let's quickly go into EU First Strike, because I was doing a lot of great tweeting recently. A lot of great tweets come out of the channel called @Zescht, where I was continuously talking about who failed at First Strike. So Qualifier A saw very interesting teams eliminated. There was Needmore DM, HSDIR, who now made it, Brix GG, Cream Real Betis Guild, obviously Movistar, Entropic, Big Clan, who now made it, and Wiggers, a very, very, very difficult name to say. Were any major surprises for you in those eliminations from start on? Especially for me personally, was HSDIR, who I had never seen get eliminated that early on.
Yeah, I think the elimination that surprised me the most was Needmore DM going out as early as they did. That one was genuinely shocking to me. Other than that, I think it's very hard for something to surprise me. It goes back to what I was saying, where I feel like there's a top 4 in Europe, and then from there it's just like a full out melee. So someone upsetting another person is like, okay, sure. I mean, it might be like someone upsetting someone who's slightly more favored, but it's still going to be, if you rate teams out of 10, it's like a team I would rate a 7 beating a team that I rate a 7.2. It's not like someone who was rated a 9.5 suddenly getting upset by a 5. Like, I feel like they're in close enough proximity that it almost doesn't even qualify as an upset for most of these.
True.
I think that's a fair point. Yeah, because I mean, especially like when we were talking, because we tried doing like tier lists and like power rankings, all that stuff in previous weeks. And it's just like, yeah, the top end is really obvious. And underneath that, it's pretty much like everyone has a bias where it's like, oh, they think that player's really sick, so like rate that team pretty highly. But there's not a lot of tape on those teams at the moment. The qualifiers not being broadcast anywhere, definitely not helping with that either. It feels so miserable to try and understand European Valorant at the moment, because the top teams didn't play really. They took like a month off basically from legitimate tournaments up until the qualifiers, and the teams underneath them, you just don't really know who's actually good or not.
True.
I get to scum around to talk to coaches, and so that's where my bias comes from.
I'll be honest
That's the way
with
you gotta do it.
I wrote down a little list of teams that I found very surprised from Qualifier A. Qualifier B just ended. We can quickly dive over that. So I have 3 surprises, and I'm not quite sure how familiar you are with them, but I still wanna hit you with that. First for me was Isol Bull, which is a wonderful Finnish team. Have no Liquipedia page, hardly played anything, really not relevant in that sense, as they, the biggest thing for them was winning a 400 Euro Cup and maybe making semifinals in the qualifier for Allied Esports Ignition. that's a bit of a surprise to me. Anything on that?
They're one of the teams that I think is the least visible part of that like 5th through 18th soup range where you just have
Really?
tons. Yeah. So here's the thing: is people can say that they fly under the radar. Have
Yeah.
known their name as a team for like 4 weeks. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they're less under the radar than I think people are treating them as. But that's only because they haven't won stuff. They've always been in that like 8th to 3rd range in a lot of these smaller regional competitions. So they're no slouches. Like seeing them get through doesn't surprise me. I
Yeah.
think that a fair amount of bracket luck played into their ability to advance, but the fact that they got through is like, yeah, okay, that was a like I would put them in upper tier 2 is the way that I would place them on like an overarching level.
All right.
What were your other surprises, Zescht?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit you with it. Exile Esports, a bit surprising. Hear me out, because you'll be saying that's no real surprise. I think they are, as all the rage, really one of those tier 2 teams that consistently really got themselves into a quite solid state. Yet the fact that they immediately made it was a bit of a surprise to me, as this team still, from the last conversation I had with them when they were playing the Austrian national league called A1 Esports League, they were actually having no IGL, officially speaking. They were playing pure aggro, and they still made it work now.
Know anything about those guys, Anderzz? I'll be honest. A lot of these tier 2 teams just, I don't know.
So
I don't really follow the tier 2 tournaments too much.
We're talking Exile right now?
Yeah, Exile,
Yeah. It's honestly, it's the exact same thing with Isle Balil. It's like they're an upper tier 2 team. Like we've seen them before. It's mainly been in regional competitions. I feel like that is the underlying narrative on all of these guys. It's like you knew about them if you paid attention to every single region's events.
True.
They didn't necessarily win those regional events, but they were performing well in them. And so their ability to sort of rise to the outer rim of the upper levels when you combine all of the regions, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. I think when we did the tier list, I don't think if we did that, Ender, but when we did the tier list, I was actually putting them in a quite high spot when they were all the rage, because I think they really have that firepower. To finalize my list, Meow Mode, as they call themselves, the ones who actually kicked out Guild, a bit of a surprise to me as well. You know, flying under the radar to some degree, but I mean, they also haven't been that overly active in the past there.
It's actually going to be really similar to Exile, where they play a lot of regional, like Eastern European CIS events, and they do pretty consistently well in it. I mean, if you look at their lineup, it's like Taimu's on the team. Like these aren't no-name players. They're established, like competent players. And so their ability to succeed isn't surprising. I think the only reason it comes off as shocking as it does is because of who they beat. Like the fact that they stomped out Guild and people's expectations are so highly set for them, it was sort of a shell shock.
Yeah, absolutely agree. 100%.
I peaked when it was in beta. I played in some in-house lobbies with Mixwell and actually Taimu. Taimu got upset because I was just headshotting him all the time. Called me a little bit of a hacker. So you know what? There we go.
Man. Clutch as hell.
Let's go. That's all I got.
I think that's a lie.
Just a hacker.
Okay.
No, he actually did. I can show you the logs on my stream.
I really want to see that. I really want to see it. Before we head into further questions, if you in the chat have anything you want to ask Anderzz, pop it in right now. Maybe you also have those quick buzz questions we had last time, where you can just pop in A or B. I don't know, Omen or Brimstone, Viper or. I know. Viper or Viper. I guess for Anders it's Viper or Viper.
No, I like this because you were sort of saying like Viper would probably be like the most underrated agent currently. Who do you think is the most overrated agent?
Oh
man. Sova.
Omen?
Sova?
Sova, okay.
Sova.
Why?
So because people are using it as a crutch. And if you look at it statistically, it's actually a bad agent. It has something like it's creeping up on an 80% pick rate. if you look at it in non-duplication settings, it has the lowest win rate of any agent in the game right now, at like 47%. And people are using it as a crutch. They say, we suck at defaulting, but it's okay because we have an agent that gets us such free information at such low risk that we can get away with really mediocre map control. And so I think, I guess calling him an underrated agent isn't necessarily accurate. I think that the way people are currently approaching him is underutilizing his potential. So the way that, or not underrated, overrated. I think the way that people are utilizing him right now is like a band-aid fix where they're like, oh, he's this like panacea god tier agent that fixes everybody's problems, and like they're not even using him right.
So do you think if there was a world where like Sova received some like pretty meaningful nerfs and like pick rate actually went down on it, that there would be like some teams that are either like considered like high level or just underneath that would end up dropping?
A lot of teams would suddenly crack under the pressure because they literally would just be awful. Like when you don't have the fundamentals to control any portion of the map without a recon dart, you probably need to reassess how you approach the game.
Fair.
Good point.
I like it.
It's actually where Ryan now stepped in, the man himself, Ryan Central, and then asking the really good question. You're talking about that Sova might not have a place in the future anymore. What's your thoughts and expectations about Sky then?
I think Sky's busted. I'll be straight up about it. I think that if Sky doesn't receive substantial nerfs, I will be utterly stunned.
Nerfs?
I don't nerfs. Yeah. I can't imagine that she doesn't just blow things up because she's just too strong. The key thing about Sova is that he is an information gathering tool that by nature wants to play a little bit passively. Sky is the opposite. She's an information gathering tool that can also play highly aggressive. And that increase in tempo that she allows is terrifying. It takes a lot of, ironically, the teams I was just talking about who are fairly bad at defaulting and so don't really want to play passively, but they do because they need to use a Sova, and it lets them play aggro. So they don't have to hold a particularly strong default. They can still get information on you, and now they have a tool that also helps them attack you whenever they find your location. Like Sova is, you have information on them, but you still want to hold your passive setup. You still want to play your default. You might want to take a little bit of space, but overarchingly, like you're still going to be where you're at. Oh, did we crash?
Did we? I think we're good.
No.
I think I froze for a second. Yeah.
We heard everything you said, so you're good.
Okay. I think that basically the ability of teams to play more aggressively is always going to cater to teams that don't necessarily have the level of strategic understanding of the game as some of the other ones. Like being able to get info and immediately play fast and just abuse the fact that you're some like cracked out ESCA rank G player is always gonna it's always gonna be catering to worse teams as opposed to better teams is my take on that.
It makes sense too, because she's sort of like she's supposed to be like the jack of all trades, master of none, where she has healing, she has entry, she has like information gathering too. But right now it feels like maybe she does a lot of those things too close to the level of like the agents.
Master of all?
Master of all, or like second best, but not off by that much. Like she's worse than Sova at getting information, but not by that much. She's worse than Breach at entering a site, but not by that much, so yeah, pretty insane agent there. What else do we have? Any more questions, people in chat?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, hit us up.
The mom of the moms, Elo Mom, asked, is Icebox the best map, or do people just like snow?
Icebox is... See, everyone wants to hate on Icebox, especially pro players. If you look at the Twitter hate, it's absolutely massive.
Tell me you're a fan. Let's go.
I love Icebox.
Let's go.
But come on, you're not. Do you like Icebox?
Yeah, you want to know why I love Icebox?
Yeah,
it's Viper's best map. That's a talk for another day.
I believe that. You don't have to say anything else. I believe that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. everyone wants to talk about how like Icebox's quirk is its verticality. I disagree. Its quirk is its angle density. The number of angles that you have to clear every time you turn a corner is like 15. You want to know what agent is great at just sweepingly locking out angles? Viper. You throw a wall and it cuts off literally 10 different spots on Icebox. It counters the primary element of that map.
True.
That's huge, and I love it. Honestly, like, no, that is probably the best way to end this conversation.
Yeah.
I think, the Viper hype man, the Icebox hype man. You know what's better than what each one of those things? It's when you put them together in the most beautiful combination of all time. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna watch your team. I'm gonna watch the Viper because I want to see exactly how to make that agent work. I don't play Viper, but I think she's really interesting.
Our Viper player is absolutely nuts too. Like he is genuinely insane.
When can we see you or your team more likely?
I'm gonna heckle some of my community caster friends and see if we can't get coverage on Friday. But it should be Friday.
Wait. What is it called again? Give me the name again.
It's the second phase of the UMG qualifier. It's the second part of the first round qualies that are going on.
No. But the team's name. The team's name.
Oh, team is last round save. Yeah.
Last round save. I mean, maybe Ender and myself will get.
Maybe we'll cast it.
Actually, we'll cast it.
That'd be sick.
I'm down.
We're down.
I'm super excited.
You hit me up. You hit me up.
Yeah, and for sure. And if you guys, I'm sure you'll like tweet us something if there's coverage where people can find you guys. Go follow Anderzz on Twitter. Internet. Yeah, perfect. Go follow him on Twitter. You're gonna see his Viper play. He'll tell you exactly when and where to watch it. Thanks so much for joining us and hyping me up about Viper. I'm ready for it. Yeah, I want to see you guys go out there and win tomorrow.
Let's go. Right. I mean, from Viper, my friend, we have finally something we can quickly talk about. I first wanted to say you can keep your hype because we have a great match coming up. But there has been one piece of torture that the guys over there at Level have done for us. There are 3 segments, of Wishlist usually. You say something you like, I say something I like, and then we might just catch up on something from Reddit. But this time, it's different. You know what they're starting with?
The Reddit review. They're gonna give us a bunch of Reddit posts, and we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna give our first reactions. We haven't seen any of these. Last week, I brought them in. I was ready to tear them apart. This week, maybe there's some good ones, maybe there's some bad ones. Let's check the first one up there and see what happens.
Yeah, you're gonna start reading that. Come on.
All right. I miss training maps from CS:GO. It'd be really cool if Workshop appeared to create user training maps or content. Yeah, sure. I miss training maps too. It's never gonna happen. Get over it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a legit point because Counter-Strike has some really, really, really good workshop maps, as you see right there. But yeah, I mean, as the man Ender said, really brutally, forget it.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. Like you get the practice mode on Ascent, and it will not get any better than that, I don't think. So enjoy it as much as you can.
I mean, the rest is basically go screw yourself. So
that's all I've really got. Next one up. Let's go. Rapid fire. Abandoned player needs more penalty. All right, so this player has clearly been abandoned by his family. Needs to be.
No.
This always makes me frustrating when I play competitive. This type of player always exists in most matches. Players always abandoned in the middle of a match. And penalty for 5 to 15 minutes for matchmaking. Like what? Yeah, but isn't that like normal for most games? You leave a game, you get penalized.
A month?
Okay, a month is a lot. So here's the thing: is like eventually it does get to him. I don't know exactly how the like report system and the punishment system works in Valorant, but I assume it's something close to League, and like the punishments do scale. So the first one might be 5 minutes, the second one's 15 minutes, and after that you'll get like banned for 3 days. Like I actually think that already exists in the game. I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure that exists.
Yeah, I mean, the same way to do it in CS. You start with 30 minutes, and at the end of the day, you're gunning 7 days. So yeah, I mean. Yeah, let's get this guy out let's ban him for a year, please. Come on, next one. What do we got? I want to see Ender really hate on something.
Okay. Bro, what are you talking about? I went AFK for 10 minutes, and I got the 1 hour ban, then I went AFK, and I got 4 hour ban and ban. Yeah, What are we talking about? Why are we just making stuff up in Reddit posts? Okay. This guy is an absolute savant in the comment section, coming out with the real talk.
Mate. I had to save a cat in the first matchmaking. Just got banned. You know. Secondly, I still saved the second cat. I got banned. You know. Does Riot not like cats? I don't know what it is.
We need an anti-flash agent, some sort of barrier which is invisible for a period of time, guys. Or you could just look away. Like, that's also possible. Like, you're going down B long on bind and you get flashed by a Phoenix out of the wall. What if you just play anti-flash? Have you ever heard of that? You stick your head
Not
in
only
the
that-
wall and then you hear the sound and then you pop out. Whoa.
Not only this, I think you can also try to bait out utility.
Yeah, that's also possible. Like, okay, to be fair, playing on this patch has been very frustrating with a lot of the flashes, but literally, like, you just have to change the way that you play, and that's how the game should work. We shouldn't have every ability has a counter. Like, okay, what's next? Breach ult, you have a anti-concuss ability that goes in a wave out there. Brimstone ultimate, you have a no-go zone where you just cancel out the, like, come on, like, not everything should have exact counters in abilities. Sometimes you just have to counter it with the way you play. Next.
With your brain, basically. So, either way, what do we have here?
I think Omen should be able to pick up Spike while in shadow form when using his ult. Omen's ult is not that useful. Okay. Basically, this is saying that he should be able to he should be able to teleport to it and then cancel it and go back and pick up the Spike.
Great idea.
Like that. So that's something that could exist. Like, I actually don't have strong feelings on it either way. I don't super care. But I do think it is weird if he doesn't actually appear in his new location and can somehow, like, physically pick up the bomb. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not really for it, but I wouldn't be super offended if it existed.
I would be super offended because you cannot kill him while taking the bump. That's my issue.
True. Yeah, but it would be one of those things where it's like, I don't think it fundamentally breaks the game, and it gives him, like, some cool ability on his ultimate. I don't think he's, like, weak by any means, and I don't think that would be the buff I would even want to do to make him strong. So yeah, I'm not really for it. But again, it's like, I don't really care.
Come on, read it, Ender, please.
Color variants for knives.
Can you just skip to one part? Just, like, skip it.
Give me variants. Give me finish. Why don't I have finishers on knives? Like, actually, why don't?
Okay.
I don't get it.
I think I like the idea. I actually like that.
Wait, is this? Okay, yeah. I'm all for Chromoset, and they actually did it once. They did it on the ego knives because people had asked for it, and they're like, we're gonna try it and see how it works. So I hope you bought a lot of variants, because if you did, then Riot will make more. If you didn't, then they won't. So
your own
there
fault,
you go.
basically.
It's literally your own fault. If you want more Riot stuff, buy it. If you don't. There you go. Okay. Next.
I'm really asking myself, how much more do we have?
Oh boy. Icebox's biggest problem. This is a poll. Angles to peak wins. LOL, I like Snow. Tide, actually. Everything is close behind. Okay, so first of all, this is a terrible, absolutely terrible way to run a poll from an insights perspective. LOL, I like Snow completely can, detract. You might have had 157 people with legitimate opinions, but they thought that was funny, so they chose that. So you're just devaluing the value of your poll. You're devaluing the value. There you go. Angles speak, though, checks out.
I'll be honest with you. I think I'm sometimes actually reading before the show for Reddit, and I really can't read it anymore. I don't know how it was with League. I don't know how League Reddit is, Ander. You know it better than me, but it is really one of the worst Reddits I have seen in my entire. I only watched Counter-Strike Reddit before, and that was okay.
Yeah.
That was okay. And now
the thing is, you're getting offended when it's not even people talking about. Imagine going onto Reddit and hearing people talk about you and you doing your job. People that don't do your job for, like, how they complain about balance, like being a game designer, miserable. You can't go on Reddit. Like, people are just talking right out of there, it's bad, being a caster. Also hard going on Reddit. There's a lot of garbage being thrown around there.
I know, I don't say a word. It's really, I genuinely have no words for it. Because the thing is, what I thought with Reddit would be with Valorant would be just a lot of, mid-tier player just uploading clips of them. And I would be like, yeah, that's cool, bro. I mean, a lot of highlights that are not that highlighted. Great. Okay. But why on earth is this game so hard even at low ranks? Why is that a threat? I mean, come on, just next one. Give me the next one.
I hate it. Put the next one up there. very serious and important.
No,
I was
no,
playing
no.
unrated with my 3 friends yesterday. My grandpa called me, so I need to answer that call. So I went AFK for a few rounds. I was connected to mobile hotspot. Okay, use punctuation and
Stop reading it.
capitalization. You absolute. Yeah, I can't read this anymore. This guy's
The thing is,
saying that he shouldn't be punished for AFKing. Too bad.
for his
Don't
grad-
AFK.
Imagine Riot would have a complaint hotline why you actually got time banned. That would be one hell of a journey. I'll be honest with you. Come on, what's the next one?
Here's the I don't know. Why does right-clicking with the knife require godlike knowledge of the space-time continuum? Okay, this one's actually pretty good. Basically, I mean, it's difficult with the knife. It's a good title. Like, it's formatted properly. You have spaces, between some of the paragraphs there. Like, beautiful. You can read it. It looks like an absolute intellectual wrote it. Now, at the end of the day, I think I actually saw this thread and someone in the comments just explained it properly, which is in CS:GO, I believe the start of the animation is when the damage is dealt, right? In Valorant, the knife, the damage is dealt at the end of the animation, which is counterintuitive to like guns being hit scan and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But once you understand that, I think it's actually much easier to use the knife than people realize.
Yeah, or just do it like every other shooter has done in the past. Just my 2 cents
Or
about it,
innovate.
Yeah.
I think it's swag. No, so the reason I like it is because you can start the animation for the kill and then like swing your mouse and like slice them off. Like if you're not on their head and then you go around, you can re-angle it. It's kind of sweet.
It's not Assassin's Creed.
Look, I don't think it matters. It's again one of those things where it could be one way, it could be the other. I just want it to be the same thing and not change. Get used to it. Next.
Come on. I think we can't even do our wish list.
Prevent players from spamming party. Oh, wait, this is actually mine. This is going to be my wish list. Basically, toxic players who get voice muted will just spam you party requests to try and join your party. And then if you accept, you can't kick them out of the party until after the game. It is misery. So yeah, I actually think you should delete the party invite while you're in game entirely. I want that gone. It's garbage.
But did you translate it from France into English?
No.
That's what it said at the bottom of the Reddit post. So I thought.
I honestly didn't read down any more than that. Next one.
Unlucky. Is there such a thing as... I actually would
I'm 33 and I feel old.
I would actually like to join that boomer community. That would be interesting. I think that's nice. I'll be honest with you. I mean, those adult guys,
make a Discord for it. Sure, it's like I assume something is in football, but in America, like you have like 25 or like 30-year-old plus like softball leagues and stuff like that. It exists. Sure, I'm all for it. Next one, put it up there.
Legit. What else?
Pariah, this is a community-made skin bundle. Pretty cool.
That's really nice. I actually like it. I like it a lot. That looked really like something I would like to see in the future. Counter-Strike has a lot. Counter-Strike has millions of custom skins, as you can pretty much access it with ease. Like they're specific skin makers. This is one that is not actually in the game, but still looks sick. Yeah, maybe we'll see actually. If Riot would give the tools, I think in the right way. I think you could. No. Listen. I'm listening. I'm not talking about them actually creating an engine. I'm just talking about that they might do models for third-party softwares. You're going to say no?
Okay. They're not going to do it. Also, I will say, making a weapon skin in CS:GO is so much easier than making a skin in Valorant. Because in Valorant, you see model changes, you see animation changes, you see like the actual like the skin texture changes. Like we would not. I think maybe a few people would be able to do it, but like the amount of community designs would plummet. I think compared to CS:GO.
Agree.
So I don't think it's super worth it.
Agree. Well,
all right, are we up onto your wish list now? What you got for us?
I got game modes. I really got game modes because you really last time mentioned already that you would like to have something along the lines of Wingman. Wingman mode. Exactly. You're still planning
Which,
that.
by the way, I'm working on. It's more difficult than expected, but I've got some sweet ideas like changing agent mid-game. All right,
You
take it
are
away.
the man. You are the man already. That's one thing that I would like to see. But there's also gun game, flying scouts, man, all those type of things. And I think it's cool. You know, it's a fun game mode. It's a casual game mode. It's something where I think Valorant right now has too much of a competitive focus. Spike Rush is trash. I mean, we both agree. Spike Rush is really
Agreed.
freaking trash.
I agree, big time on that one. I mean, I would love to see something sort of because I know I've set up some like personal game modes, like we did the knife jousting on the zip lines. One I did in like beta was jet with no cooldowns on abilities, and you just fly up in the air and you're like shooting knives at each other. That sort of stuff is cool, but
It's
you can
cool.
set up a lot better things, I think, with 5v5 and more
Yeah.
players than just two working off of no cooldowns, because that's what we're limited to right now.
True. Well, I think we pretty much got our wish list set. Do you have anything else on the board? I think you already got the what was it, Ender?
No. My
It
wish
was in
list.
the
It was the no spamming party invites. Get that
Thank
out of
you.
here.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate party
Right.
invites. I don't want to be in your party. I don't want to be your friend. I just want to turn comms off and play solo. But yeah, that's it for us in this section of the show, because coming up after no, we don't have a break. I'm lying. There's no break. We've got a show match.
Right, you're lying.
I don't know, because usually we've had the break in the past, getting everything sorted, but
True.
no. Today
Yep.
we have a best of 3 match. We're going to be casting it today. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped to get some super serious Valorant going.
It's absolutely amazing what we got. We got Futbolist versus Nerd Town, as the lads of Nerd Town, by the way, also played till a little bit before nothing else than the qualifier for Europe, the qualifier number 1, qualifier B. And sad news, Nerd Town did not make it, as they have lost by 1 overtime against a team called Sheesh. And that team most definitely then also lost against Skate. But either way, we got the lads coming in anytime soon against also one of the lads who already made it through the Turkish qualifier of First Strike, rocking the 2nd place. Futbolist it is going to be, and maybe we'll soon find out how much longer it is gonna take. I'm really stoked for that one. I'll be honest with you. This is gonna be a banger match.
Yeah.